Okay, today we're going to take a look at a second update, well, fifth, I guess, in terms of number of videos we've shot, but we compiled the other four and sent them at once. Okay, here's the gate, the repaired gate for Jim and Marty. Now, this gate was destroyed virtually. We were able to salvage this bottom rail, this piece to about, I've lost it. Oh, right here's the joint. I was able to salvage it to here. The joints are going to be necessarily moderately crude, I'm sorry to say, but that's why we'll use some of the canopy to cover anything that looks like it's not ideal. Saved a little bit here. Had to extend this piece just a bit to get the bottom rail to line up. This piece was good out to here, and that's about it. This little bit of canopy we saved. And if you may recall in an earlier episode, this was just about vacant. So everything is new out in the middle, even the smaller tubes. I was able to salvage one or two pieces. Actually, I did some of it just for the fun of it. I like this little taper, and I wanted to get him back. So there he is, nice little taper with some offshoots on him. But we've added a lot of new pieces. So the object of this today is just to bring you up to date, and to also, I'm going to show a little bit of two of the techniques that are interesting. Well, I think they're interesting, very time consuming, and I put texture, as you may notice, on all of the tubing. Not only the larger ones, but even the small diameter tubing have some texture on them. So I'm going to run this kind of Rube Goldberg looking bit of monkey motion here. This is virtually an antique old pipe threading device. You look at the size of that thing. That's back when plumbers had arms about the size of my calves, because that's the kind of thing they were using. I put it on some skateboard wheels so that it rolls this way. It turns nice and slow, and I'm able to run it through my hammer, where I made a special anvil that's 3 feet long, so that I can reach up inside the tubing and do an actual 6-foot piece of copper. So it's very noisy, and it's very, very slow. So I'm only going to show you just a couple of seconds here, but I thought it might be interesting to see what we do. So here we go. I think we're ready. Oh, we got to get this going. Now we're turning. So we did about 2.5 inches. So imagine that all of the footage over there was done, and at different diameters too. I have different anvils, all different sizes for all different pieces of tubing. But the point is that it takes plumbing pipe and turns it into artwork. Otherwise, it would just look like plain flat plumbing. It doesn't make a huge amount of difference unless you don't do it. When you don't do it, it really looks like plumbing pipe. When you do it, it just takes on a nice little bit of texture, adds quite a little bit. The other thing we do, and I'm going to show you, I hope, I'm sorry, I'm a little more set up. This is a quick shot of doing some plasma cutting and some hammering on the canopy pieces. I needed to do a little bit of additional canopy work. We lost several pieces, and I still may have to build some more, but I built a few, as you can see, the newer, cleaner ones on here, to make up for what we lost. And this is what I have to do in order to cut it out. So I'm sorry we're a little, I thought I was all set up, and lo and behold, once again, not quite. This thing puts out a tiny, tiny little bit of a flame that they tell me is as hot as the surface of the sun, maybe even a little bit hotter. Here we go. Cut it a little bit jaggedy to kind of mimic the idea, the appearance of a tree canopy. Cut out some empty negative places. This also shows you why the metal gets so dark while we're in process of building anything. We put this tremendous amount of heat on it, and it goes almost black. I have no idea if you can hear me right now. I'm not sure how this little camera will do with the sound. And the reason I wanted to show you this, which it'll all come apart, well, let's hope it does. It won't if I don't get a pair of gloves on, will it? Is to show you a little bit of the hammering process. I now run it through the hammer for a couple of reasons. One of them which is to get the, what we call the dross off of it, this little bit of rough stuff on the backside. It's pretty offensive. You don't want to be running your hands over it ever, both while you're installing or building the gate or even when you're passing through it. I'm trying to do a quick video and then I miss a little bit. So here's the next step. I'll need my earphones again. Thankfully over the YouTube, you won't need them. Okay, there's really no point to stay there, show you the whole process. I just did a few inches of it. The point being that it both gets rid of the dross, it hardens the metal, and gives it more shape and texture. Again, it's not a lot of texture, and when the gate is finished and you're driving through it, you really won't see it. But you would see it if it were just a flat, smooth finish. So it adds a nice little touch. Anyway, we're moving along. We're getting pretty close to being able to really nail down a reinstallation date. I think we'll be at least 3 more days on the table here. This is the back side. I'll be putting a lot of pieces on the back, and then the primary pieces, let me show you in here, where the pieces that we're able to salvage are remaining. See, I was able to take off some of them in a fairly large cluster, and that's really, really nice. That'll help us save a bit of time. This one was the largest one of all that I was able to salvage. So it'll go back on the front side with all the other little bits and pieces. And then the individual leaves that I placed on it before, I think I was able to save each and every one. Some of them are still connected, but we'll be able to put them back on. So I think I probably used up my welcome here. I think that's enough time. I hope it was interesting, and we'll be back with you soon.